Today's video, we're going to talk about how to differentiate your remarketing strategy for each platform that you're advertising on. Facebook, Google, YouTube, so demand gen campaigns, and ad roll and so forth, okay, which are the main ones to do remarketing on, by the way. But the key thing here is everybody typically, if they even do remarketing, which is a major fail in itself if you don't do any, but they'll do a little bit, and certainly they'll do the same thing across all the platforms, which each platform has its own unique opportunity that I'm going to explain how to take advantage of the individual different use cases of how do you remarket to a user who's almost ready to buy on each platform to get the maximum sales possible, just like the title says. Okay, now, and also I'm going to talk about how much more money you're going to make by the end of the video with the case study of an e-bike brand where we did this exact strategy, so you understand just how serious this is for you to do it for your company as well. So stay to the end of the video for that, but it certainly will not make it very easy at all to make money in your company, scaling ads for your business, if you do not have a decent remarketing strategy going for your business, similar to what I'm talking about on this video itself. Despite what people say about remarketing and how you don't need it, this is just tomfoolery. Everybody needs a remarketing strategy. Everybody should be doing it the way that I talk about in this video. So with that said, okay, as I mentioned, your remarketing should be different basically for each platform. There are some platforms, it's similar as I'm going to go through here, but certainly it shouldn't absolutely be the same across the board. Even though, because, logical thinking would tell you, hey, if mentioning that we have a sale on one platform, that'll just work on all the platforms. Let's run it on all of them. The reality is, though, completely different than that, okay? If you're on Facebook, you actually want to see stuff that's more like story-based. Because you're on Facebook, it makes sense. What are you on Facebook for? To see stuff from your friends, your family, right? You're not there to find a special offer on deodorant that you think that you need to buy. I mean, granted, you can get a little bit of traction doing that. That's not why you're there. So you always want to fit in with what the people are there to do and see to take advantage of the opportunity that's there. So whereas with a banner ad, even though that stuff could be useful, but they're not looking for it there, and you only have so much real estate and time to actually communicate on a banner ad. So you should be running the banner ads, but with different messaging. So with that said, on Google Display Network, first of all, to let you know what you should do there. So first of all, Google Display Network, you should run remarketing ads on Google Display Network. That gets you banner ads, as well as a responsive display ad to go with it, which is a text version of an ad that you can run on Google Display Network. You run that to everybody who's been to your site, which, to give you some bonus information here, typically you're going to market to your customers first, but specifically the people that have multiple times or multi-buyers, because that's the most profitable people to go after, then your customers, then people who got to the cart, then people who got to the site at least for 2 minutes, and then finally people who just got to the site in general. And then on top of that, if you have at least 10,000 visits a month to your site, you should sub-segmenting even more. People that got to the site 2 minutes, but also within the last 30 days versus 60 days versus 90 days, because they're all going to convert differently. And your goal is to maximize profit from remarketing. And you'll find, each one of these has diminishing returns to it. Not to say you shouldn't remarket to everybody who hits the site, you should. But more of your focus should be on ones that are closer to the end of that spectrum that I just mentioned. Also, because you want to have different approaches for different people. We routinely say to customers, we have a customer appreciation sale. Come and buy because we're going to give you 10% off for being a great customer or past customer. Then we have different messaging for the cart abandoners. Hey, we know you abandoned the cart. We'll give you 10% off for buying within the next 60 minutes. Then you have the regular people who hit the site. So all of which is going to make you more money, by the way. And for that matter, your remarketing strategy, just to sum this up too, it should never really be ending. You should always have something else to add to it, because the profits almost never end with, when you add another piece to your remarketing, that it doesn't also increase your sales. Eventually has to be an end, but it's into the dozens of pieces ultimately, because the more pieces that they see, the more familiar they're getting with you, and the more they trust you, and the more likely they're going to be able to buy from you or want to buy from you. In addition to you can educate them more, so that makes them want to buy from you that way. And it also, just because it's newer content, they're more likely to click on it because of that. So all these different ways make you more money. And for that matter, you should think of remarketing like a way to get the traffic you're driving to your site to convert so you can scale it more. That's really what it does. It's not a channel in itself that you should think about as its own channel. It's a part of your overall advertising to get the whole package of it to work. Because not many people are going to see your banner ad and then immediately click through and buy, unless it's an ad where you're offering 20% off for this weekend only. Then you will often see people click through. If it's an ad that says, hey, look at this testimonial from a past customer that just came in, they're not going to click through and buy right away. That will increase the likelihood that they buy later on, when they're ready, when they get paid, when they're ready to buy on their time frame. So respectively, what you do is you do these other things I'm going to mention here as an effort to get people who came to the site, which most people are, who come to your site the first time, are ready to buy right away. Or if it's for lead generation, maybe they turn it into a lead, but there's a time it takes for them to decide. And what you do from the time that they get to the initial site the first time to the time that they are ready to buy will dictate how many sales you get. The better you're in marketing, the more sales you get. So you can do ultimately more on the front end to drive traffic to your site if you do a better job on the cleanup side, that is getting the person the rest of the way to buying. And a lot of people think, well, all this information's on my website, they can see it there. But the reality is they're not going to spend more than 2 minutes on your site. They're not going to digest it all. So you spoon feed them the rest of this information in bite-sized chunks. They're going to get way higher comprehension of it all when you do that versus just expecting them to see it on their site the first time and then that's it. In fact, if you don't believe me, look at the power of sevens in marketing, and that tells you that this has been the case for all channels and forever, that you'll make more money advertising to fewer people more times than more people, but only once. And most people, they think the opposite is true. But, Google Display Network, you run, again, this is all a sequence. You have one ad, they see another one, and these are going to rotate out for the user. The first of which should be a transaction-based sequence. So sales. So every month you have a different reason for a sale. St. Patrick's Day sale, April Fool's Day sale, one for every month. And then you have a discount code tied to the sale. So like April Fool's 10 for 10% off, Valentine's Day 15 for 15% off for Valentine's Day. There's a deadline and they see that ad. So they say, whoa, I was planning to wait till I get paid, but hey, if I'm going to not get the 15% off, I'm going to buy. And that actually eliminates procrastination. And therefore, you get more ROI on the people that you've driven to the site because of that. That's one piece of the overall system of remarketing that you should have. Number two, you repeat what you do, obviously, because some people are going to forget what you do itself. So if you offer a roofing with financing plans, that's your differentiator. Well, you say that in your ad so that it drills into their head. Because there's a day where they say, honey, I thought you said you were going to hire a roofer. Why haven't you done it? And then the person says, oh, yeah, I'll do that today. You want to be the first person they think of, and they'll do that most often when and if you've done your remarketing right. That's why you're doing this. And so repeat what you do to make sure they remember your differentiators. You're going to have ads just with testimonials on it. I like to have several of these at the very least and these are all banner ads again, because it's Google Display Network. You have testimonial ads, you have review score ads where you say your Google review score, your Trustpilot score, all that. You have awards. If you have any awards, put those into an ad, because obviously I can trust companies that are getting awards, obviously. And then lead magnets also. So we don't use this in all markets, but in a lot of markets, we'll have an ad that says, before buying a roof, get this information, avoid getting scammed. And then that will, because they read our ebook, increase the likelihood they're going to do business with us, which, generally speaking, don't get ripped off by a funeral home. Don't get ripped off by a window company. Those are our best producing headlines. And so if you want a great way to angle this, that's the best way to go, because everybody wants to know before they buy their windows. They don't want to get scammed, and nobody has content like that. So you put a little ebook together, and then ideally you also monetize it by when they download the ebook, they got to put their phone number in there and you call them within 2 minutes of downloading it, and you can get sales that way. It feeds right into your sales staff. So you got that. Now, that's Google Display. You're going to do that on Google Display. That technically, if you run demand gen campaigns, which gets you a text-based or style ad on Gmail and YouTube, you do the same exact stuff there. Why? Because it's the same kind of format itself. Now, What you do on YouTube and Facebook's totally different. We're going to take advantage of the platform and the frame of mind that the user's in. Starting with YouTube. For YouTube, you're going to do reaction-based content. Show somebody reacting to the end result that you provided the customer. So you're walking through the kitchen that you built for the customer the first time. Or ultimately, if you do a wedding proposal service, you're showing the reaction to what the lady thought when she saw it or itself. Or even if it were just as boring as a new pair of shoes, showing the customer what they feel like once the shoes are on. Wow, these are nice. Whatever. I would do that type of content. That's one angle. That's gonna, which, by the way, what you can think of what this is. This is the perfect analogy for it. It's like a glass that the customer, when you get them to your website, they're 20% of the way to a purchase only. And they need to be 100%, which would be at the top of the glass, if you will, before they're going to be willing to buy from you. They got to know, like, and trust you to be willing to buy from you. Otherwise, how do I know I don't buy from somebody else? Assuming that there's other people that can do what you're doing. Each ad that they see fills that glass up a little bit more. They see an ad, it goes from 20 to 23%. They see another ad, it goes from 23 to 26. When it gets to the top, you got the sale. So your goal is to get them to just see these ads so that you get them the rest of the way. That's each one in and itself doesn't actually get you a sale, which is why people get confused. And sometimes I have to tell the clients, like, hey, you're not going to see somebody seeing this testimonial ad and you're not going to see a direct return from it, because the purpose of it is to get your whole package of ad spend to pay off. It just has one little incremental part of the sales that you're getting, and none directly from that ad, because they don't see a testimonial and be like, oh, I was waiting for that testimonial to show up. That's amazing. I'm buying right freaking now. They don't act like that. And you do a demonstration ad following that up, like reaction ad. So showing the demonstration of what results you get, showing the kitchen done, showing the type of layouts that you do for the wedding proposal type service, or if you have a toolbox, showing how durable it is. Do a dramatic demonstration. Those work the best. You can have a video that shows case studies. Of course, this is more so for like B2B, but it can be anything really. Showing what are the results. We had a SEO company. I told them the easy thing to do is just to show other rankings you got for other companies. In this video, they just show, look at this company we ranked. They ranked this before, they ranked this after. So here's another client they did this before, this did this after. And then just showed proof of it on the video. And that crushed it. Okay. But anybody can do this. See this guy? He got, he was this fat before, now he's skinny. See this other guy? Which naturally before and after, it's a little bit hard to get those approved sometimes, but you can still do it. Which generally speaking, if you don't call it before and after, you can get by with it. But that's pretty much what you want to do. Video testimonials itself. So the actual customer, which a lot of people overcomplicate this. You can literally have the customer answer 3 questions on their iPhone or phone, and then they just send you the video. What did you think of the service? Do you have any comments about the service? And would you recommend it to others? You have them answer those 3 questions on video, and then you take it, and then that's your video. And you have the quicker or the more capability you have to fill up the glass that you have, because each one is going to get the person a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Video testimonials, I will say, as much of a bastard I am for saying this, but we know if it's an ugly person or not videogenic, it can go the other way. So I recommend getting video testimonials from people that look like people that they would want to look like or want to be. These people, but so the key to the thing is, when it comes to testimonials, people buy from people they aspire to, not that they don't aspire to. So if you get 10 testimonials, you're better off using 3 of the best looking people than, so as long as they're not too good looking, because then it can go the other way and they say, oh, that's not me, it's not approachable. But they buy from companies that they buy from people that they want to be. So, and then, so that's your video. That adds a big help to what you're doing over here with the display ads and demand gen. And then of course you got Facebook itself, which on Facebook, you have the format is tell me a story about somebody, someone, some company. That's kind of like what you're there for. So in that case, you can come up with some different ads first of all, that talks about how you've been started as a company. A lot of people, you probably don't know, but the most popular page on your website right now is probably the About Us page. If you go into Google Analytics and you look it up, why do I know that? Because I just know that from other client sites in general. Other studies have been done on this, the reporting that shows this. So, knowing this key fact, why not do an ad or a video on Facebook that talks about why you started the company? I mean, for me, I don't know why people don't do this, but if I'm going to buy from a window installer, I want to know the company owner behind it. Because I want to know, this guy believes in his work enough to put his face out there itself. And if I see a video talking about why I started XYZ videos 25 years ago, I'm going to say, well, this guy actually is passionate, one, about what he's doing. And two, he obviously isn't going to be going anywhere because he wouldn't put his face out there unless he knew his work was quality. He's not going to do it. He's going to leave it as a faceless company otherwise. So that can work. And it doesn't have to be just services. That can be anything. If you sell, bowling supplies, you can say why. And people also like to buy from people that are passionate about what they're doing because they associate passion with quality. And that's naturally going to be the case. So you have that. And then also a day-to-day in the life. So show, here we are. Look at all the, the mailboxes that we're producing for customers this month, or look how we stamp out these high-end furniture sets, how we build them. It's an interesting thing to see, but it also shows A, that you're also not trying to hide something, but B, how quality the product is. There's a lot of craftsmanship put in it. It's not made in a basement in China somewhere. And you also got that as well. And they learn a little bit more about what they're buying. Customer stories. So testimonials are one thing. They're just literally in a short format saying, why they bought, what they thought of it, and would they recommend it to others. With the customer stories, it's going way more in depth than that. You're actually, and it's not just self-recorded. You're asking the customer, hey, ultimately, what caused you to want to actually lose weight in the first place? And they start talking about it, and it gets to be a little bit emotional. And then, what did you try in the past before that didn't work, or whatever that may or may not worked? And they start talking about that. And you have that stuff. That's perfect for Facebook. That's what kind of stuff they're there to see in the first place. Alternative uses. So, because everybody likes to treat all customers the same. The people that buy your product or service, there's usually 5 or 10 different distinct customer personas or profiles. If somebody's buying patio furniture, one buyer is buying that because they like to spend more time with family. They know if they have a nice patio, their family's going to be coming and hanging out more often. Another buyer is buying it because they like peace of quiet. They get to sit out on the patio and, they get away from their kids or whatever. It's like the opposite. It's another person who likes, just being in the sun more often. So, but generally speaking, you can read all the reviews of your competitors and listen to your sales staff and read the emails, and you can figure out what these are. And then you create different remarketing pieces that tie in each one so that the person can say, yeah, that's me. That's why I'm buying. And then that just reaffirms to them, if they weren't quite sure yet, that yes, this is the right product for me because it fits my individual use case. Yes, I'm buying it, which kind of sounds weird with the door patio furniture example. Like, oh yes, that's me. I like, to sit outside because I like the sun or whatever. But I promise you this works. We know this works. And the reason for that is it's a way to build rapport with the user. It's just like when you actually are on a phone sales conversation, you're doing a sales call with somebody, you're on the phone trying to sell them. There's something called mirroring in sales where you match the user's tone of voice, pacing, their accent. The more you're able to do this, the higher the closing rate you're going to get because people buy from people like them. So when you talk about like, hey, we build these patio pieces because, people love, vitamin D is what our customers love. And when you see and hear that, it makes people think, yes, this is for me. I mean, and it goes further than that. If you are in a market where, people are buying a mailbox and they're buying because they're doing an outdoor home renovation or their mailbox is not big enough, and you talk about each individual use case there, then it goes further than that and it works even more effectively. So that is what I would recommend on Facebook as far as proven formulas there. But that is the full package of kind of what I would do. And yes, this sounds kind of insane to do all this when you're talking about 20 plus different remarketing approaches and pieces. But, you know, frankly, it works really, really well. We do this when a client will allow us, because a lot of times we can't get this data and so we just don't do it. I try to get all of our clients to do it. Very few, take it seriously. I do it for our own agency. If you go to our website, you're going to see at least 20 remarketing pieces. It never ends. There's always going to be more and more that you're going to see. So you're either going to block me or you're going to buy from me. Not buy from me because I'm too obscure. You're going to get all the information you could possibly want about guaranteed PPC, and you're going to buy or you're not. And you can't sell to everybody because you're not going to resonate with everybody, and you can't be for everybody. But they're going to be familiar with my firm, so they can't buy because not quite sure about us. That is your goal with your remarketing. Now, to prove this out, I have a case study here that I wanted to go over. Before I explain what those numbers are, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you absolutely should. I have the best information on this channel about how to make money, lots of money with ads, online, on Google, on Facebook, and like. Subscribe to this channel, you will not be sorry. The information I have is better than what you're going to find anywhere else online about that exact topic, because I spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy at our firm on dozens of accounts, and I've been doing it over a decade. So I'm giving you the latest and greatest stuff here on what really works. Most of the people online are talking about stuff, about ads. They're showmen. They're not really doing the work. They don't know what's really going on. They're regurgitating it from what Google says or whatever, and that's not what gets you results. I also got a great blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has step-by-step instructions to do the strategies that I use personally to get our clients guaranteed results. You should also check that out as well. You can find that at guaranteedppc.com/blog. If you like the channel, you're going to like the blog as well. If you have a question that you'd like to ask me directly, I get back to every single person that leaves me a comment in the comment section on these videos that I have. Also, though, you can reach out to me through my new Discord group that I've opened up semi-recently. You can find the link to that in the video description. I've got there's already hundreds of people in there that are that follow the channel, and they're conversing amongst each other. You can also ask questions. Also, we got a free PPC course in there just as a way of saying welcome to the group. But I also do coaching calls, of course, as well. If you have a one-off question you want to ask me, you want to get on an actual call, we charge for that, of course, but you can reach out to me through my site at guaranteedppc.com. We can set that up. I work with a lot of agencies as well as individual companies as well. So I'm open to working with either one. I also, by the way, though, in addition to that, I mean, just to let you know, lately we've been selling our template. If we've worked in a market that we've already been in before, a roofer, plumber, whatever it is that you're doing, and we've worked in it in a different city or country that you're in, you can just buy from us the results for that market, the ads, landing pages, the campaign templates that work for your market. You copy and paste those into your ad account and get the same results we did. We've got hundreds of these templates now because we've been in business over a decade. So the chances are quite good that we've got the template that works for your market. If you're interested in that, let me know. We'll tell you what results we got in your market and you can use it for yourself. Or if you're not in your market, of course, we can do a custom setup and we'll manage all your ads ourselves. We'll manage the ads, the landing pages, everything you need to get results in that market, and we'll guarantee your results. Otherwise, we won't get paid our agency fee. We guarantee you'll get a certain minimum lift in your sales or a certain amount of sales with our efforts. Otherwise, there's no fee, and there's no fee until you get there. And we're the only agency who does this. If you reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com, I'll get you an 8-quarter projection of your results that you'll get under our management, as well as let you know what the guarantee would be. What we would guarantee for your campaign up front. So reach out to me if you're interested in that as well. Now, getting into the case study here, it was a e-bike brand that I have covered in this case study, and this is going to show you just how impactful this stuff that I mentioned in regards to remarketing truly actually is. Okay, so this company started out with no remarketing. Basically, they were doing 1.3 million in the last 12 months. Which is a 42% year-over-year increase on what they had the previous year. So they were growing quickly as is itself. We started in with them. We did start, of course, running other ads and so forth. However, the biggest thing that we were able to do, because most of their sales were coming through Google search, and they had okay campaigns coming up. But we started going to town with the remarketing because I told them, like I should tell you here, if you're in a market where trust is a factor at all, most of your efforts should be focused on remarketing up front, not finding a new way to run an ad, a new place to run an ad, I should say. It's remarketing, because once you get your remarketing done right, anything else you do to drive new traffic into the top of your sales process, your sales funnel, people coming to your website, it's just going to get way easier to do because you have a more efficient process and funnel than your competition. You can afford to pay more than them, and you can just now advertise everywhere, essentially. Now bid everybody for the customers. So that said, okay, I told them, hey, to do remarketing right, we can do the basics. We can have the sales. If you get us some discount codes for every month, we can have different sales. We can run testimonial ads that show our average review rating on Google as a company, and do the basic stuff, which we do basically for all clients. However, if you can get us all this other content marketing that we can use in our remarketing as well, where you do how we started, day-to-day in the life, customer stories individually, get us all this content that I specifically mentioned as our go-tos for a client when they're going to cooperate with us the most, so we can get them the most sales at the highest level possible. They work with us. They got us 90% of what I mentioned on here on this video, so we could do all of everything I mentioned. How much do you think our sales went up in addition to what we were already growing in terms of our year-over-year sales growth once we instituted this whole remarketing package for our brand itself? We went from a total of 1.3 million in sales over that next month, 365 days, to 2.8 million in sales, which is 115% year-over-year growth versus the previous year, our 42% year-over-year growth. Now, again, we did some other stuff for them, but I could tell you 70% of the results that we got and efforts were put into just the remarketing, which is the opposite of what most people are frankly going to do. They're going to focus on, oh, what's another search ad we can run? Should we try YouTube? No, just focus on the remarketing. But I will say it's in a market that has very low trust, so the remarketing is going to work better to get you more sales quicker, market with less trust, than in a market like, let's say, plumbing services, because they don't really need to trust you that much to get the damn broken toilet fixed. So in that case, I would focus on new traffic more. In that case, at least short term, really tapped out all new first click advertising opportunities. But in this market, e-bike brands, there's so many shitty brands, there's so many scam brands, and there's so many options, frankly, to choose from. How do I know your e-bike brand is the one that is quality? I mean, you can offer me a warranty, but how do I know I can trust that? And it is by being unobscure. You'll be so transparent about everything you're doing that people have no choice to just believe you. They don't have to say, well, really, should I trust them anymore? Because you literally told me so much about your brand and so many customers, there's no other conclusion I could come to. But people don't want to do this because this takes actual work. They don't want to interview customers. They don't want to talk about what they're doing in their business. They just want to run a Google ad and make money. Okay, well, you may make some money doing that, but your return is not going to be nowhere near as good and as easy, and you're not going to scale as easy. The more important part, if you don't have this remarketing to back up what you're doing to drive traffic to the site, given that the average person's not going to get to your site and buy your several $100 e-bike on the first visit, knowing nothing about you as a company, they're going to at least try to go online and seek other companies out. And guess what? When they have more transparency, you lose the sale. Okay, so I mean, it's really up to you. It's either do or die. And for that matter, the next 10 years, I've made this prediction in other videos and before in general, companies that do better with video marketing in general are going to be the ones that dominate every market out there, because people are expecting companies to have video content to review that company in terms of the product or service itself, the owner. The trend's been going that way for a while. It's to the point now you cannot not have a YouTube channel, because people are going to go to YouTube to try to check out other videos about your company. But this is just literally we're scratching the surface at this point in time. It's going to get to the point where I'm not buying e-bike from anybody unless I see somebody with a nice fat YouTube channel that have reviewed everything about the bike, what's good, what's bad, how's it better than competition, so I can actually trust you as a company. So whereas I could tell you this and you could say, that's not the case. You can be ahead of the curve so that 10 years from now, you're not out of business because everybody else around you started focusing on content. to get in front of people who've already been to the site, just make their efforts work, and you're going to be behind. And tendency is, let's not do anything until we see everybody else do it. And then the easy, or should I say high return from it is gone. And now you just have to do it to maintain. Ultimately, why be in that position? Not only that, but you have to do this at minimum now to just make money. And it takes a long time to put all this video content together. Why wait until it has no return to do it when you can get all the return now and just be ahead of it versus trying to react and you actually are losing. Now you're in a negative ROI position because you didn't do it and you're trying to come up with money to do it with money you don't have, which is what the default position is that people have. People usually come to our agency when they're losing money. They don't do it when they're making money and they want to make more. They do it when they're losing money, ultimately. And that's just the way that people are by default. They don't take things seriously until it's gone. And then they get real serious about it real fast. And the reality is it takes time to build ad strategies and time to make content. And it takes time to run it and have it work. And the time to make moves in your advertising is when it's going well, not when you're losing money. Because at that point in time, you're probably going to make dumb decisions, irrational about your decisions, and you can't be in that frame of mind just to get advertising to work in the first place. But with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Hopefully that makes sense. And I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.